Good morning, gentlemen. This morning we're going to take a closer look at foreshadowing in The Prestige. Now, we've talked quite a lot about Nolan's use of non-linear or non-chronological narrative structure so far in the film. The last time we saw each other, we talked about the very beginning of the film, where there were about 16 or 17 different jumps from situation to situation. And I just want you to have another look at the beginning of the film, because here in these slides, which I'm using now, and which, by the way, are attached on your GrammarNet page now in a folder called The Prestige, right at the bottom of your GrammarNet page, all these teaching slides are now there. So we talked about the fact that in The Prestige, it is hardly possible to talk of flashbacks or flash forwards because that implies that there is a particular real time that the director strays from. But in fact, in the opening 7 to 8 minute section of the film, 5 different temporal locations are revealed. And it soon becomes clear that the director uses these alternating temporal locations to release information to the viewer in a piecemeal fashion, in order to reveal meaning in a way that challenges the viewer. Okay. We're going to learn today this releasing of information in a piecemeal fashion is not just to challenge the viewer, although we've talked a lot about that, but it's also a way of structuring the film. So this is my writing about today's lesson. Today's lesson is about Nolan's use of foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which a writer gives an advance hint of what is to come later in the story. Not just writers, but film creators use this technique as well, and throughout the history of cinema and TV, screenwriters and filmmakers have also used foreshadowing as a means of engaging the audience with the story. And in The Prestige, foreshadowing serves both as an important structural and thematic element in the film. So let's look at my next slide. Much of this we've already talked about. Something we haven't yet mentioned is that these different temporal locations which challenge the viewer also allow us to get a very strong sense of the different points of view of the two main characters. Because we jump from one temporal location, which is all about Borden, to another temporal location, which is all about Angers. We'll look at this in more detail soon. This is important as well. Read with me here. The use of these alternating temporal locations allows Nolan to create a film which is itself a magic trick, which has a number of magic tricks within it. For example, both of the characters above disappear, they die, and reappear at the end in a seemingly impossible way. So the very clever thing about this film is that Nolan is playing with us and creating magic within the film. So the film itself is a big magic trick. Now, the provision of limited information. So this is what the foreshadowing is about. In The Prestige, the drip feeding of information goes hand in hand with a nonlinear structure to ensure that the viewer has to work to understand what is really happening as the film progresses. As, like with magic, the trick itself is hidden from the audience's view. So, particularly with the foreshadowing, similar to the two previous characteristics, Nolan uses foreshadowing to drop hints which subtly prepare the viewer for revelations which come later in the film. This is also known as the setup and payoff, or the plant and payoff. So that's all I'm going to say about foreshadowing. And now I'd like you to go back to your Graminet page and follow the instructions, because I would like you to watch a couple of video clips.